Morning all. Welcome to the Thai Sustainability Summit, the largest summit hosted by Thai Hyderabad. We have over 40,000 registrations and growing. I'm JT Rao, founder of WinAMR. I'm excited to introduce the topic to the screen today, the circular economy, a $1 trillion opportunity. In today's world, this is a compelling topic and needs rightful attention. I'm glad to introduce the speaker, Mr. Abhay Deshpande, for the audience. Mr. Abhay Deshpande is a serial entrepreneur with 18 plus years of experience. He's a founder of Monetize. He holds the unique distinction of building the largest digital commerce platform of the country without VC or PE investment. So he has won several awards in the past few years. And so dear Abhay, glad to have you here. Please take over from here.
Thanks, Mr. Rao, for the kind introduction. I would like to thank Thai Hyderabad for inviting me for such a prestigious event. The topic which is given to me is about circular economy, I think, which is a need of the hour, and the next couple of years will be, I feel that there will be a lot of focus, and we're forced to be focused on this topic. So I have some few slides which I prepared. So I would request Akansha to run them, and I will. So circular economy, what I am going to cover today is the opportunities, challenges, and size of the industry. Just a bit correction in what JT Rao has said. I was a founder of Martjack, which was a B2B e-commerce platform, SaaS-based company. After exiting Martjack, I started my startup called Recykal, which is a digital platform for waste commerce. And this is the first waste commerce company where all the generators, bulk generators, small aggregators, kawadiwalas, all of them can sell the waste to the registered recyclers through our platform. Next slide. So I think first we'll try to cover why there is a need of a circularity and in today's world. So many of you must have seen the IPCC's latest report on code red for humanity. And if you see that the kind of human has become a single most influential species on the planet, and with the carbon dioxide emission, global warming, ocean attribution, habitat destruction, all those things, if you look at, I think the need of the hour is circularity. And I think how do we achieve it, how big that opportunity is, what need to change, we'll try to cover in this aspect. The other thing which is happening is that there is an increase of demand. So I think even the consumption power of the consumers is growing, even existing consumers are consuming more. And in next 20 years, we're going to say 3 billion new customers coming in the market, either because of their age or because of their income level going up. And all these 3 billion coming in, the demand of the products and services will be much more than what it is today. The third aspect of the circularity, why it is needed, is the price sensitivity. If you look at the e-commerce, the way the e-commerce has disrupted the market is it has basically given more choices to the consumers, and the price, and it's lead to the price sensitivity. So there's low brand commitment or loyalty there. So people are like, for the price, lowest price or cheapest price, people are getting the good products and they are buying those products. So the people spending money, extra money for the product which are environmentally or socially favorable is something difficult to happen. So this need a mindset change completely. So if you look at the broad 3 points, these are the 3 aspects of why we need circularity in today's world. Next slide. Attention, next slide. So I think there are three key principles of the circular economy, which I would like to talk about briefly here, and then I will cover them in detail in the next few slides, is eliminate the waste and pollution. So I think this has to happen at the product designing stage itself. So the whole design has to be planned in such a way that there is a minimum waste generation out of that when it reaches the end of life. Second aspect is circulate products and materials. So I think the product should be used multiple times. It should be circulated. It should come back to the economy again, get recycled or refurbished or reused the way it is possible. And third important aspect of the circular economy is regenerate nature. So I think if we really look at the broader three principles of circular economy, I will try to cover them under these three aspects. Next slide. So now, if you look at the aspect of the how the closed loop life cycle is working, and I'm trying to explain the various stages of the product life cycle here, from the product design stage to the product usage stage. Now, if you look at the first part of it, let's look at the first and most crucial stage, which is product design, and how designing with purpose can solve various challenges posed by the stakeholders in the course of product lifetime. So the first one is design for trust, right? We need to design the product which can build trust among the user, and keep in mind how the consumer interacts with the product during the use. So we need to bring that attachment and trust with the product for the consumer. That is very, very important aspect. Second aspect, while at the designing stage of the product, is design for durability. So longevity of the product is essence. Designers should also be aware of building the products which are like, great example I can give you is the water resistant smartphones. The feature has actually got adopted, provided additional security and peace in the mind for the consumer, and naturally making the smartphone more resilient and increase the product lifetime because of one feature which came in. Second is design for standardization and compatibility. That is a third point which all the product designers should keep in mind, so that the components and the parts used are interchangeable and modular, and that brings the extra life for the product. The fourth one is design for upgradable and adaptability. So this fourth point which the designer should keep in mind, this can help to adapt the product to the change need of the consumer, because the consumer needs are changing. So if the product has adaptability and upgradability naturally inbuilt at the design stage itself, consumer will use the product for a longer period. And design for the dis as well as reassemble. So make the device easier to refurbish. So that helps basically to use the device for a longer period, or then get refurbished, repair, or if required, recycle also at the last stage. So this was the particular part which the user should keep in mind while designing the product from the circularity perspective. Once the product is designed and to be refurbished or recycled at the end of the use and end of the life, the subsequent loops, if you see on the screen, comes in picture. The first one is the user at the top of the right side of the top side is the first is repair, right? The repair is possible at users with shortest loop for extending the product life. So for example, I use something, and if I have the network and the infrastructure available where I can repair and use it again, that is the first loop which can be created. The second one is a stage of reuse. So second loop which we see on the presentation is the reuse stage, where we are seeing that tremendous surge in the pre-owned smartphone, and smartphone actually has shown us the way that it is possible. People are reusing the smartphones, but the same philosophy can be applied for other products also. Why not apparels? Why not the TVs? Why not the other products? So I think we need to reuse, and resale is going to be one of the major driver from the circular economy perspective, and that is another loop which we need to focus on. Next in the line is the refurbishing loop. So I think refurbishing is something which is a great way to recover lost value and extend the product life. I think refurbishing, remanufacturing helps to establish the closed loop at the product and the component level itself, thus extending the product life while delivering value to the different set of consumers. After refurbishing, it can be used by some other consumer, but the new material doesn't need to be used, and that plays a major role. And finally is the recycling. So after all these cycles, so product is repaired, then it is reused, and then it is refurbished. The last is recycled, and that is also a very, very important component, because where the flow of the material is made possible back into the supply chain. and thereby significantly reducing the need to extract the new materials. So for example, plastic PET bottles, or you take electronics item, if it is actually collected and recycled, again, it can be used back into the economy, and you don't really need new fresh resources for this. So by implementing these strategies, the relationship between the various stakeholders in the value chain will change for the better, and the relationship will no longer be dimensional, and stakeholders will interact at multiple times, and that creates the opportunities for each of these loop to be created. There is an opportunity as a business opportunity. That's where we talked about the $1 trillion opportunity. All these angles, all these aspects plays a major role into it. Next slide. So if you look at the market side globally, I think globally by 2030, we expect the circular economy to be of $4.5 trillion. And if you largely divide into this opportunity into four parts, that is, one is first opportunity is substitute the wasted resources. So I think by introducing renewable energy, fully recyclable and bio-based fuel, chemicals and materials. So this is the first, and is one of the largest, that is $1,700 billion opportunity across the globe. Second is monetize the wasted capacity. So for example, we increase the co-ownership, increase the renting, for example, furniture rental, clothes rental, everything is now getting into the shared economy. So I think that something will be another big opportunity. There are many startups across India and the world trying to disrupt that. And that I think is going to play a major role in the coming years. Something resources which we don't use regularly can be shared and monetized. So that is another $600 billion opportunity. Third one is lighten the waste life cycle, right? Basically lengthen the waste life cycle. So for example, resale, repair, and what we spoke about in the earlier slide are going to be major role. And there are many digital as well as offline players who are trying to bring that disruption into the market. And the last one is recover wasted values. That is something by recycling, and that is another big industry which is coming forward. Increase recycling, have a proper technology for recycling, upcycling some components out of it, reuse some energy recovery. So all those aspects, if you look at all these four aspects, if you divide into four parts of the circular economy, globally it is a $4.5 trillion market as of now. Next slide. From what I spoke about was from the global perspective. If you look at India, I think there are a couple of reports available, and these are only specific to certain industries. These reports are not considered as every aspect of the consumption. So if you look at Ellen Watson Foundation's report, they say that it's a $624 billion opportunity by 2050. And they have just considered three major categories like C&D waste, that is construction waste. Second is food and agriculture, what they have considered. And third one is mobility and vehicle manufacturing. So if you only do bring circularity into these three things, it's going to be almost $600+ billion opportunity in India itself. FICCI has done some research on few categories like agriculture, metal, and electronics. And as per them, by 2030, it is going to be a $500 billion USD opportunity. Although this doesn't cover plastic and many more other categories. So it's not a wider aspect, but even if you consider the smaller set of categories which they have focused on, I think in India also, it's more than $1 trillion opportunity altogether. And it's something which need to be disrupted and need more entrepreneurs really to focus on bringing that circularity, disrupt the whole supply chain, and work on reverse logistics and make that happen. Next slide. So I think what are the challenges, right? When you look at the challenges in the circularity majorly. So one of the first challenge is the perception barrier. So as a consumer, we still don't want to use the used products, right? We are still want new product. There is a different feeling that used is not good, or something reused cannot be reused. But I think that perception has to purely changed. The second barrier is trade barriers. So the spare parts harvesting should be free flowing, right, among countries, because the demand and supply in each country might not be the same. And the free market for pre-owned products also can be one of the policy decision which the government has to make, where the pre-owned products can be imported or exported very, very freely. And that's something will help in bringing that circularity and into the ecosystem. The third one is the decision barriers. I think this is majorly inside the organization. And that is purely focusing and talking about the implementing the clarity defined policy on pre-owned, refurbished and recycled products. So this is more internal decision making barriers which we see in every organization which we or all of us work for. The fourth one and most important is spares and raw material availability. I think this is one of the barrier. So not having the robot component and raw material manufacturing and harvesting ecosystem in a country will lead generally to the shortage of the spares and raw material. And that in turn, there is a over dependence of on the single country for all these products. So we are generally be dependent on some countries for all kinds of product and component requirement, and has the negative implications. So we need to strengthen the ecosystem within India itself, where we can do encourage more reuse, repair and refurbishing, recycling, and also the spare and raw material availability by manufacturing locally is the need of the hour. I think these are the four major barriers and major challenges in circularity, which we all need to pass. Next. So, and what are the elements which are enabling circularity? So those were the barriers which we spoke about. These are the barriers in the overall industry. So what are the elements and which are enabling circularity? So let's talk about, there are four different aspects. There are many, but I just try to cover four. So one is government incentive schemes / policies, right? So I think that is going to play a major role, because as a consumer, we are really not very conscious about the environment, about the overall things happening around us. But I think last 2 years, and there cannot be a better time than now, because where the government can take these initiatives or policies because of pandemic. Now every human being has realized that he's nothing, he's very small in the whole thing of world. The nature is much, much larger, much bigger. So this is the time, and they have really understood the importance of the environment, and there is some soft corner around it. So this is a perfect time for us to really, that feeling across the consumers can be really, really used in a right direction. So I feel that the government should come up with many incentives / policies. So I will just give one example here, and which can be from the India specific thing. So we all know that plastic waste has been a big challenge for us for last so many years, and plastic, 20 million metric tons of plastic waste gets generated in India. Until 2017, there was no one bothered about it. And whatever municipal corporations were doing, consumer awareness was almost next to nil. And plastic was getting generated, it was going to landfill, it was going to ocean, and it was polluting the environment across around us. Most important, that is one aspect from the environment perspective. Second, all this valuable material, because there was so much of valuable material which can be used into the circular economy, was going to landfills and ocean, because there was no policy, there was no responsibility thrown on anybody for this. So the government has come up with a regulation or a policy around 4 years back for e-waste and plastic. These are the two categories they came up with, called extended producer responsibility. And as per that, every brand who is creating a plastic footprint, say Unilever has used 100,000 metric tons of plastic as a packaging in their packaging, or Coke and Pepsi has used PET bottles for selling their cold drinks. So this policy has made them responsible to collect the waste X percentage. So they have to collect 50% of the plastic footprint they have created in Maharashtra, 50% created in Andaman Nicobar. So that policy came in. Naturally, the producers became responsible for the waste they are generating. It was not there till 2017. And we are seeing the drastic change in last 3 years, where every producer is now thinking about bringing down the use of plastic, number one. Number two, converting non-recyclable to the recyclable plastic. Third, they are spending good amount of money in increasing the collection, because that there is a mandate, this is a compliance requirement. Otherwise, they will not be able to sell there. So suddenly, 3,000, 5,000 companies which are already adopted are spending good amount of money, and $2 billion on the large scale has come in the industry, in the waste management industry, which earlier was not even focused, not even no corporate bothered about it. So the one policy change, and I have seen last year almost 2 million metric tons of plastic got collected because of EPR, and it got channelized to the right destination, either cement factory for co-processing or to the recyclers who are registered with the Pollution Control Board. So I think one policy brought in so much of change, and suddenly the plastic collection number has increased, and quality of the plastic which got collected also has increased. And in turn, all these people, the bottom of the pyramid guys who were putting all their energy, doing all dirty work of collection, started getting more income, and their lifestyle also has improved. So just to give one example, these kind of policies and schemes and mandates are required from government to really make it work. Second part of very important aspect is the inflow of funds. So I think anything you want to do at scale, anything, all these, you want to build the businesses around circular economy, there is a lot of funding required, because this business will take time to really build and scale. So I think there is a lot of funding ecosystem available today. And personally, I have been in this space, so I have seen in last couple of years that there is a huge interest from corporates. There are many impact companies. There are many other venture capitalists. And even if you look at the listed companies, also the companies which are really focusing on circularity / SDG goals are really getting the better value for their listing. They're valued more, 8-10% more than the other companies which are not doing it. So the funding is available. There are like CDC, IFC, there are so many impact funds. I have personally met at least 20-25 in this country. So there is enough of capital available. What they need is a business model, a good team of entrepreneurs who wanted to really do that disruption. And because this is not easy to do, it's very, very tough, because this industry, this whole circularity, this whole reverse logistics is something new. Nobody has really disrupted at a scale before, but at the same time, that's what the entrepreneur has to, right? Where there is no disruption, where it is very informal, he can come and disrupt. So fund available is definitely are there, and more and more funding will definitely flow in for this purpose. So funding is not a challenge, I feel, in the current market, but that will enable circularity. So more and more funding coming in will, and I'm seeing the early signals of that already in the Indian context. If you look at the third is the innovative technologies. So I think it's not just about the entrepreneurs, but the technologies, the innovation is required there. I saw that what we have been doing in Recykal, I will talk on the last slide, how we are actually bringing technology into circularity. But then there are so many other aspects of all we spoke about, the reuse, refurbishing, recycling. Each of these aspects needs innovation, needs better technology to extract maximum value out of the used products, or make them refurbished quickly and make them almost looks like new. So there can be an innovation across, not just the supply chain, but even on the product. Refurbishing, reuse, all those aspects require technology to be really brought in. There are technologies available, but more technology coming in that will enable the circular, that this element will enable the circular economy. The fourth point which I would like to talk about is growth of supplementary industries, like, for example, logistics, because I specifically is talking about logistics, warehousing, because the reverse logistics for the circular economy, one of the very important component is the reverse logistics, because that's something which has really not got disrupted yet at a scale. Forward logistics, we have seen in India itself in last 6, 7, 8 years, delivery, e-com, express. There are at least 10-15 companies which have really reached that billion-dollar number, doing few million deliveries with the proper planning. So the forward logistics already got disrupted. That is adoption there, but the reverse logistics is something is still not reached that stage, because the whole adoption of circular economy itself is in the early stage. But I think that something is required to be growing. That is going to enable better reverse logistic ecosystem availability, will make will enable the circularity in much better way, because the biggest cost and biggest risk associated with the circular economy to really be economically viable is the reverse logistics. And I think that's something which in next couple of years we'll see drastic change happening into that. Next slide. As I explained earlier that the space for circularity that across we discussed that 4.5 billion trillion opportunity in India. So every aspect of it has a scope of circularity. I personally run a startup which is like called Recykal, and I founded it in 2015. And the whole objective of Recykal was to really disrupt the supply chain and bring circularity into the West. And the particular major focus for first 3-4 years for us was around plastic first and then e-waste. So I will just talk about it for 5-7 minutes, how we are able to bring that change and circularity into the system. So when you talk about the waste management, and particularly this has been there for last 60-70 years, and just to set the context, in India there are at least 60 million people, almost 3% of Indian population. I'm sorry, 3% of Indian population gets food every day because someone in their family is working in the waste management, that is from collection to recycling. And as I explained a couple of minutes back, that the EPR regulation, which has come in the country in 2017, actually has brought a lot of change in the waste management, because the waste management earlier was completely an informal way of doing it. It was a cash economy. Although it is very large, it's a $100 billion market in India, but completely informally driven, completely cash economy, and there is no technology, no formalization was available there. But as soon as the EPR came in, because the EPR demands the traceability, visibility of the material flow, all the GST billing, everything became mandatory. That has actually started changing the way people are starting transacting on the waste, because there is nothing called waste in this country, right? And I thought we are talking about circularity. So everything is a resource for somebody. It's not at all waste. Even the Lay's packet which you throw on the road actually can be used is used by the cement factories as a replacement of coal for energy generation. So that's the circularity we're talking about. The plastic bottle after consuming drinks, we just throw it, that has been gets recycled multiple times. So what we thought, because all the stakeholders across the ecosystem were completely fragmented, so there was no connectivity between them. The rag pickers were at the bottom of the pyramid. Those are 4 million rag pickers. Then there were 1,000-2,000 recyclers across plastic and e-waste. And there were aggregators. So there are 5-6, by the time the plastic bottle goes from your house, it reaches to the recycler, it changes 6 hands. So it's a long chain of the middlemen. So what we thought, can we really bring this disruption using internet, using mobile? And that's how we started Recykal. One line, somebody asked me what is Recykal. We generally say that it's an Uber for trash. Basically, it's Uber for trash, where we connect the generator as well as the first level of collector of the waste with the recycler directly. So what happens with that? Because currently the biggest challenge with waste is that there is no data availability. And because all the transactions, all the supply of the waste is happening through our system, we are able to trace that from the X person's house, why a kg of plastic has been dispatched, and this complete traceability we could bring into the ecosystem. So this is an integrated platform which connects all the stakeholders in the value chain, and in turn that brings that consumer awareness about, and we in turn do that consumer awareness about the segregation using digital technologies. And what is the value of the material? So we bring that awareness into that. So majorly, if you look at, we enable more financial value to all the stakeholders, because we remove certain middlemen which are really not adding any value into the ecosystem, and give the best of the value to the people who are doing the actual groundwork. We bring because of our intervention, we have seen better and higher waste collection, and I think that has been already predominant. We have been seeing that. And because the collection is more, and we incentivize the quality of the material collected is better, then it is basically the collector gets more incentive out of it. So that makes that the quality of the material collected is better, and naturally if the quality of the material is better, the recycling outcome is also much better. And the outcome of this recycled material also is better, so that it comes into the economy. So in this process, what we bring is end-to-end traceability and transparency. We the market linkage between the generators and the collectors with the recyclers. And this digitization of collection centers also what we do. So in India, we have thousands of collection centers which are run by the NGOs. So we have provided them a cloud-based technology where they can completely trace the inflow and outflow of the waste, and in turn get the visibility of the data and then connect it with the marketplace. And we have also created the AI and machine learning based tools where we can really do the segregation level assessment of each household. And also, for example, each household is given a bag with a QR code and all the material collected from them. When it comes to the conveyor belt, that photograph is taken, and we actually analyze that how best the segregation at his place. And if he has done a best segregation, say 8 or 9 out of 10, he gets incentives for that. And if it is below 5, then the municipal corporation puts penalty on that. So we're just trying to do that from the generator to the recycler. We're trying to bring the complete traceability. And over and above, we have the EPR platform, which basically where all these brands need to collect. So they are also a part of our ecosystem. So currently, we're working with almost 135 brands across country. And we are working with 1,000 bulk generator, around 3,000 rack pickers, particularly major focus on Hyderabad and Pune, and around 150 recyclers. We are channelizing almost 20,000 metric tons of plastic and e-waste every month. So it was just 800 metric ton a year back. It is now 20,000 metric ton. And by this year end, by March, per month will be at least around 50,000 metric tons of waste getting channelized. So our vision is by 2025, we would like to channelize 3 million metric tons of waste through our platform, and it gets to the places where it should go, not the landfill and not the, so it gets into the recycler who then recycles it, produces the granules, and then it comes back into the economy. And just to highlight one more point, because from the generator till the recycler is one loop, then the recycler now the government, few governments globally has already implemented that every brand in their packaging or in their new products has to use 20% of the recycled material to produce. They can't use all the virgin material for the packaging, for e-waste as well as for plastic. It has been made mandatory in the Europe, and I think government of India is also in a process. If all goes well in next 30 days, we might have that circular coming out where they are going to mandate every brand to use a certain percentage of recycled plastic into their packaging. And that, I think, is going to make that complete process circular, because your 20% of granules you're using from the recycled material itself enables more demand for the material, more incentives for the collection ecosystem, and that will bring that whole circularity into the ecosystem. So this is what I wanted to present today, and open for questions and any